Hello and welcome. You're listening to Big Biller Summit. My name is Mark Whitby, and my special guest today is Jon Bartos. Jon is a speaker and thought leader in the recruiting industry, and I'm really excited to have him on today. This is the second time Jon's done Big Biller Summit. What you need to know about Jon is he is the president and CEO of Jonathan Scott International, which he founded in 1999. And before I go into his background and why he's someone you really need to pay attention to, I should share that Jon's going to be talking to us today about million-dollar habits maximizing marketing performance. And he's also going to share with us some business development scripts that work today. Okay? Now, here's why you need to pay close attention. Jon has won many, many awards within the MRI network, including Billing Manager of the Year. He's been in the top 5 national billing managers over the past 10 consecutive years. He's got a personal career cash-in of over $10 million in 10 years. And Jon, he runs a desk and he really sets the pace at JSI, which is his recruiting firm, with a huge amount of drive, energy, and integrity, which I'm sure you're going to hear in just a minute when he gets started. Jon's company has won 1999 Rookie Office of the Year. He's been top 10 Sales Consultant Office of the Year. He's in the President's Gold Club. So now Jon's business, their strapline is talent wins. And winning is something Jon understands and knows very well. He competes nationally in track and field. He's a 4-time national champion in the pole vault. And that's one of the events my kids liked best at the last Olympics. Now, I've heard that one of Jon's favorite expressions is he likes to set the bar high. And so figuratively and literally setting the bar worked for his chosen sporting activities. Now, in order to help other recruiters as well as his clients reach their full potential, Jon's got a really cool product called RPM Dashboard, and that's a performance management system for the recruiting industry. Hopefully he'll tell us a little bit about that towards the end of the call today. But certainly if you want to find out more about Jon, then you can either go directly to his personal website, which is jonbartos.com, B-A-R-T-O-S, and it's Jon, J-O-N, by the way, jonbartos.com. And to find out more about RPM, you can go to www.rpm-usa.com. So, Jon, welcome.
Thank you, Mark. Really appreciate it. Today it's pretty exciting out there because we're seeing really 2 different things in a marketplace. I don't care if you're in Australia, if you're in Europe, the UK, or United States, and talking to the big billers all over the world, here's what we're seeing. We're seeing the folks who really get what's going on in the economy today doing very, very well, meaning they understand the marketplace and doing what they need to do with the marketplace. We also have about 33% of the folks that are out there that are struggling a little bit, getting more job orders coming in and really kind of struggling, working harder, not seeing the kind of money that they should be seeing in terms of the billing dollars coming in. And then we got folks who are staying about the same, about 33%. So what we're seeing here in the marketplace is the folks who are getting what they need to do in this market, in this economy, with the type of candidates that they're dealing with. If they understand that, we're seeing significant increases. I'm in an accountability group with 10 other folks, million-dollar producers, billing $1 million individually, each other, every single year. That group itself is up on an average of 40% each individual. Now, you don't hear that very much, but what I want to share with you today is most of the things and why they're doing well, the big billers are doing well out there, is because they understand the marketplace and they understand marketing, because marketing is critical. Yes, it's tough to find candidates today, even as the unemployment rate is at 8% in the U.S., 10, 11, 12, 13%, depending on where you are in the world today. But what you're seeing, the biggest difference is if you know what you're doing in this marketplace, you'll see your billings soar, absolutely soar, and I'm going to share that with you. Let's start by talking about the market and the unemployment rate. The unemployment rate right now in the United States is hovering around 8%, 8.2%, 8.3%, and that's high. I mean, that's very, very high. And everybody's saying, well, why should I use recruiters? Why should I use an executive search firm? Because I don't need to do that. I mean, I could place an ad on job boards and get that. Well, you know what? Here's a true fact. Everywhere in the world, the folks who are knocking the cover off the ball in every position are gainfully employed, hunkered down, kicking butt, taking names for whoever they're working for. They're not looking at job boards. They're not looking at emails for a job. They're head down, making it happen out there in the workforce. So really the critical thing in terms of being a big biller is understanding that marketplace. Understanding, yes, the unemployment rate is high, but the real A players out there, the top 10% of the marketplace, are gainfully employed. And they're not going to pay your 33% fee, 20%, 30%, 25 pounds, whatever it is, 25,000 pounds, whatever your fee is, they're not paying that for a C player who's unemployed and looking for an opportunity. They're really paying you to find that A player who's gainfully employed, not going to cover off the ball for somebody else. So if you think about that, yes, the economy, the unemployment rate's high, but you know what? It's still extremely difficult to get an A player, any industry that you look at, because the best people are currently employed. Now, we're all talking about candidate shortages now, and there's a report in the U.S. that's called the Employment Situation, comes out first Thursday of every month, week of the month, and virtually it tells you what the unemployment rate is in the United States alone. But if you go back to Table A-4 in that report, it goes down and talks about the unemployment rate very specifically for age and years of experience and also education level. And here's basically what it says. If you are 25 years and older and you have a high school diploma or less, unemployment rate's high. Unfortunately, it's 16, 17, 18%. Very, very, very high. You have less than a high school diploma, it's like 20-some%. All right, let's go a little further. If you're 25 years and above and you have an associate's degree, not a full bachelor's degree, but an associate's degree from a two-year college, that drops down to about 10%. And then if you have a college degree or more, the unemployment rate now is less than 5%, roughly about 4.1%, which most economists agree is full employment. Here's my point to this whole thing. The best people are very difficult to come by. You need to go with your clients and share that with them that, you know what, it's very, very difficult to find A players. Anybody can find somebody unemployed, but guess what? In 2 years, he'll be unemployed with you too because you're going to let them go. So you need to find A players in a marketplace, and the only way you can get to those is somebody like us. So you need, first of all, if you're going to be good at marketing, you got to have lots of searches. So there's a couple principles of marketing. The first one is you need a volume of work to come in. You need a lot of work to come in. Here's what I mean by that. Because quantity is going to help you get the quality of searches that you need. So one of the principles we're going to talk about is you need lots of volume come in, because if you only work on the best searches, your billings will double. Let me repeat that a little bit. I want to make sure everybody heard this. This is $1 million habit principle right here. If you worked on every job order that you ever got in, you'd go broke, because most of them are not worth the paper it's written on. So the reason you need to have volume in marketing is because you want to only choose the best job orders to work on and work on it. And if you did that, guaranteed, and what's a good job order, you say? Let's say, number one, if you're guaranteed to make a placement, if you find the right candidate, that's a pretty good job order. You're not racing with other recruiters to fill this position. That would be a bad job order. Your exclusivity is a good job order. So the goal is to get lots of job orders in and only work on the ones that you're guaranteed to make money on. Guaranteed to make money is like a retained search or some money down search. Guaranteed to make money is something that you're exclusive and you're the only one working on that. And that's very, very critical, specifically when you look at big billers. Let's say a biller over 500K. They're not doing a lot of racing, meaning they're not racing against a bunch of other people trying to throw stuff against the wall to make it stick. Oh, this candidate's somewhat close, I'm going to throw against the wall to see if it's going to work. No, they don't do that. They work on very, very focused searches where they're at least exclusive, but a lot of times they get money down. So number one, you need a lot of volume to come in from a job order or search assignment perspective, because you only want to work on the best ones. And we have a saying in my office at JSI that a starving man will eat a moldy loaf of bread. Well, a starving recruiter will not only eat a moldy job order, they'll work on it, which isn't going to be nothing but cause them pain and frustration and lots of time and money out the window. So number one, marketing principle is it's all about getting a lot of volume in so that we can get some quality. Okay, marketing principle two is it's all about quality of what you work on. The number one ratio that showed us the difference of who's good or not in this industry is one ratio, and it's not the send out the placement ratio. Right now, today, it's the job order or search assignment to placement ratio. Here's what I mean by that. We've looked at retained search firms. I've looked at contingency firms all over the world. And the one ratio that tells me if they got it together or not is their job order to placement ratio. And here's what that ratio means. It means the job orders that they're working on to how many placements that they make. Typically, in a contingency search firm where they're working on many things and they're racing and all that kind of stuff, what they're finding out is that they're making about one placement out of every 5 to 10 job orders they work on, or even worse, could be 12 job orders that they work on. Which means, let's say if it's a 10-to-1 ratio where I'm working on 10 job orders and I finally make one placement, do you realize if you did the math 10-to-1 that 90%, it's actually more than that, it's close to 99% of your time is actually wasted on working on most searches. So you're taking all that time and throwing it out the window because you just wasted that time. Now, a recruiting firm who has a job order to placement ratio around 2-to-1, which means every 2 jobs they work on, they're getting a placement. Well, that means you're only wasting about 50% of your time, which is much, much better than almost 100% of your time. But here's the whole theory. Million-dollar billers work on guaranteed stuff. If you're guaranteed to make a placement if you find the right candidate and only work on those searches, your revenue goes through the roof. A quick story. Paul in my office came up to me. Paul's been with me for 5 years, typically a $250,000 biller. She needed to double her income. She came to me and said, "Hey, John, I need to double my income. My kids are going to private schools, university next year. I need to make at least another $120,000. I said, "Okay, what are you willing to do, Paula?" And Paula said, "Well, you know what, John? I can't work any harder. I'm already working myself to the bone. My kids got band. They're in sports. I got to go all over the place." So I said, "Okay, Paula, let's take a look at your ratios, determine how well you're doing and what we may need to work on." And all her ratios were good. Her marketing ratios were good. Her recruiting ratios were good. Her matching skills were unbelievable. When I looked at the ratio, she matched and got interviews for everybody she actually proposed the client to take a look at. But the ratio that was screwed up was a job order to placement ratio, and she was hovering about an 8 to 9 to 1. And that means 8 or 9 job orders she worked on, she made only one placement. So we devised 4 or 5 job orders for her, questions for her, and the questions she'd have to ask and have them approved by the client in order to work on the job order. So, for example, she worked with the big consulting firms in the healthcare IT space, and one of the first questions he asked is, "I know you have the search. Are you guaranteed to make a placement or have somebody in that account if I find you the right candidate, or is it a bid situation?" So there was 5 questions we gave her, something like that, within a 90-day period of time. She went from billing $250,000, all right, and then finished the year billing over $555,000. She actually over doubled her billings and within another 12-month period of time, and all because she got the job order to placement ratio down, which means, yes, we need the volume of job orders there because you're only going to work on the right ones, the ones we're guaranteed to make a placement on. And if we do that, then we can see a significant increase in our billings almost overnight. Matter of fact, it will be within 30 days. You'll realize by looking at that ratio the change you'll certainly make. So marketing principle number 2, it's about the quality of what you work on. You only want to work on what we define as search assignments, which are really qualified job orders, and certainly not work on the stuff where we're not guaranteed to make a placement, where we're racing with other recruiters, all those types of things. Now, marketing principle number 3 is, because you need a lot of business to come in, don't forget, and we want to get lots of job orders, marketing principle number 3 is adding value. And the key to new business and adding value is what I call insight. All right, number 3 principle of insight really talks about differentiating you from everybody else because you know something. Insight is something about a person, place, thing. It could be about a candidate, but it's something very, very unique that not everybody knows about a marketplace. Let me share some examples with you if I could. One of the marketplaces I work on directly is the Epic hospital market in the United States. And let me share with you what my marketing presentation was 5 years ago, all right? And it sounded something like this. "Hey, Mr. CIO, it's Jon Bartos with JSI. How are you today? Well, have you heard of us before? Well, I'm shocked because we do executive search specifically with Epic software within the hospital community. and I came across a candidate, and I thought of you. And then I do feature benefit, but whatever candidate I have for them, all right? And that, believe it or not, that A-player marketing, if you will, still works today. But here's what it sounds like now when I put insight on top of that. I'm putting something unique information that I know about a marketplace, a thing, a person, a place that helps me add 100% more credibility. It's called insight. Here's what that presentation sounds like. And I won't change it a lot, but just a little bit to give you an idea what it sounds like. Hey, Mr. CIO, it's Jon Bartos with JSI. How are you? Great. Have you heard of us before? No? Well, I'm shocked because we work with CIOs of the Epic hospitals all through the United States. And the reason for the call today is we realize that when most organizations are implementing the Epic Ambulatory 2012 module, they're struggling heavily in the project management side of things. And let me show you why. Okay, and I'll stop there without taking too much time out. But here's what I do differently now. I find something very, very unique about my marketplace that's happening currently that's causing problems, and I have that conversation with them. Now, I typically, when I do market, I'll typically myself bring an A-player to a marketplace eventually. But what I'll first start talking about is something unique going on in the marketplace that not everybody knows. And it turns from being a conversation with a recruiter trying to sell somebody a candidate, it turns into a conversation with a business consultant trying to help them solve a problem. And that's insight. Could be about a person, could be about a place, could be about certainly anything new in the marketplace coming up. Okay, and that's insight. So you need to use more insight. Now, how do you find insight? Ask your candidates. Have an ear to the ground when you hear about what's going on in your marketplace. I mean, because the more insight you have, some very unique information or a problem that's going on and you have the solution to it, look out. That's when you win the game. You absolutely win the game. Okay, marketing principle number 4 is, you know what? You have to use some type of measurement tool to give you an idea of where you're at. Now, Mark, I'm also going to send you a job order matrix, which is a tool I use in my office to measure these job orders. And you need some kind of tool to help determine if they're good or not. Well, what the job order matrix does in terms of the tool we use, and I'm going to send you guys a document or have a document that Mark can use, is it allows you to measure each job order to determine a quality. All right? And so here's what happens. After I sit down with a client, I take the job order. It could be for a vice president of IT, could be for a VP of sales. I don't even care what it's for. But I take the job order in depth. All right? And after the interview with the client who's giving me the job order, I say this. You know, Mr. Client, it sounds like a wonderful opportunity. I need to go back and do 3 things. Number 1, I need to see the quality of the job order to make sure, number 1, that I can fill it. 2, I need to do a salary survey to make sure it's in line with what the marketplace is bearing currently. And the third thing I want to do is check with my team to see very specifically if we can fill it in the time frame that you need it in. And I'd like to have another call with you tomorrow at 9 a.m., if that's okay. Great. I'll call you tomorrow at 9 o'clock. So after I take the job order, I set another appointment, and then I take that job order back and I put it through the job order matrix. Most important thing I do. Yes, I do a salary survey. I do that on salary.com, by the way. I print off a cool little graph and show it to them on where their compensation is coming in. But the most important thing I do is I take it back through the job order matrix. And the job order matrix does this. It asks a series of 11 questions, and all the questions tell me how good that job order is. First thing it asks me is, how fillable is it? Do I know the match? Do I not know the match? Is it easy? Is it tough? Is it fillable? Second question is, what's their sense of urgency? Third question, what's their hiring process? Fourth is, are they working with you? Are they calling you back? Do I have direct access to a hiring manager or HR? But it goes through 11 questions. And here's the exciting thing about it, is I fill it out and grade the job order with the job order matrix, have a score at the bottom, but that's not the most important thing. I then circle in red those little things that are terrible. And I go back to the client at 9 o'clock the next day that I've already got an appointment for. Here's why this is important. This will take your current job orders from B and C and D quality to A quality overnight. So what I'll do is I'll say, okay, Mr. Client, thank you very much for the vice president of IT position that you gave me. In looking at this job order, there's a few things here that's going to keep us from moving forward and being very, very successful. And I want to see if we can change those here while I got you here. The first thing you had mentioned is compensation. Compensation for the position you had mentioned is $120,000 plus a 20% bonus. And doing the salary survey, The going rate for this position is about $150K with a 40% bonus. Mr. Client, let me ask you, if I find a true A player, and we will find A players for this position, and they're making already around that $150,000 plus 40% bonus, how close can we get them to that? How flexible are you in your budget to really get the right people on board, an A player, to help make your organization work? And I'll have them change the compensation. Then I'll go back for my second red flag issue, which was hiring process. Mr. Client, we talked yesterday, and you said that the hiring process is, first, they're going to do a phone interview with HR. Second, they're going to do another phone interview with the hiring manager yourself. Third, they're going to do a panel interview. Then they're going to be tested. Then you're going to fly them in to be tested by a psychologist to see if they're sane or not. And if they are, then they have to do another presentation to the board. That process is going to take 6 weeks. We realize that to find A players a day, that process has to be no longer than 2 to 3 weeks. What can we do in that hiring process that you've established that we can take down so it fits into that 2 to 3 week process? What can we do? So what I'm doing with the job order matrix is looking at the job order, scoring that job order, finding the red flags of the job order, and then the next day going back and getting those changed. And I just changed the C job order to an A job order, something I wasn't guaranteed to make a placement on that I now can be guaranteed to make a placement on. So it's exciting to see the things you can do. But principle number 4 is use a job order measurement tool to make sure you're only working on the best job orders. And you know what? There's principle number 5, marketing principle number 5, big billers. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you think $1 million producers have 70 accounts? Do they have 50 accounts they call on? Do they have 30 accounts? This may be a shock to some, probably not the most. Most $1 million billers who bill a ton, do not have 20 accounts. They do not have 15. Usually they have anywhere from 5 to 7. Some have 10. So what am I talking about here? To be a big biller, you're not placing one person with 40 accounts. What you're really doing is becoming a major account manager, working with one account and then blossoming out. Let me share with you what happened with Peak Technologies, my first major account that I got in my first year in the business. I landed the account. I started doing sales reps for Peak Technology. And then after about 2 months of placing 3 or 4 people, I said, you know what? We also do a lot of professional services, folks, specifically implementation consultants, et cetera. Who would I also work with on that side? Dennis, who was my contact at the time. Dennis, who would I work with who could use some A players as well? And he referred me over. And then I kept getting referred over. And by the end of the year, the first year with that specific account, I had made close to 40 placements. 40 placements. But the idea of big billers and specifically $1 million producers is you work with limited amounts of accounts that produce lots of revenue. You've already got a search agreement with all your accounts here. So one of the things I do right away, if I'm out there as a account executive recruiter in this marketplace, is take a look at everybody you got a service agreement with, identify the ones that you can really blossom and make major accounts, and have that your strategy going forward in Q4. I mean, $1 million producers have really existing business. They do account work, but they take their existing accounts they have and blossom them to major accounts. And if I look at my career already, and I've been in the business, this is my 14th year in the business, I got around $13 million in cash in altogether, and probably every year there's been 4 accounts that probably came up with $800,000 or more of revenue for me personally. So it's a principle that works very, very well. Find your major accounts and build them. Now, let me also share with you easy and hard. I mean, we all like the easy button, don't we? Well, wouldn't we like an easy button on our desk to say, darn, the day's getting tough. I just want that easy button. Hit that easy button. Well, let me share with you an easy button real quick. First easy button you got is your existing accounts have a lot more revenue in them. So if you can blossom yourself and network within existing accounts, you've already got a service agreement. They know you. You've successfully placed people with your accounts. Build them. Go in there and build them. That's easy. You want to hear tough? Tough is going to everybody else who doesn't know who the heck you are. And that's tough. So in the selling, there's many different selling situations, let me tell you. But the easiest ones are existing business. Also, another easiest ones are the candidates you just placed. Find out where they used to work and have them give you referrals on the old ones. The accounts that they used to work in. That's easy. Focus on the easy stuff for sure. Now, let's talk about the goals of marketing first of all, because we know we need a lot of job orders coming in because we're only going to work on the guaranteed ones.
Let's jump on the 10 business development approaches that are absolutely working today, because a lot of folks are out there working their tail off trying to get new job orders, and there's a lot of different strategies out there to getting business, and a lot of them are easy. And what I want to do is help you make it easy for you to get more business coming in, so you have some choice out there to make sure you're only working on the best job orders to be successful. So, and let's talk about the different approaches. And by the way, there's a white paper that you have access to that'll have all these plus the actual scripts themselves, and it's the white paper called Effective Business Development in the Marketing Scripts That Are Working Today. You'll have that for sure. But let's talk about the first approach that's very popular. It's called the MPC or A-player approach. And that's the approach to business where you're bringing an A-player to the table. And I know there's some people who are not proponents of the MPC approach, but ladies and gentlemen, it absolutely works. Taking an A-player to the marketplace has something to do with letting everybody know that you know what the heck you're talking about. And if you're bringing in a true A-player, a top 10%er of the marketplace, most of the people in the market who knows what you're talking about will at least want to listen, which will then allow you to establish credibility. And an A-player marketing approach obviously is an approach that's just, hey, Bill, it's Jon Bartos, Jonathan Scott International. How are you doing? The reason for the call today is doing a search for another firm, and they came across probably one of the best players in a marketplace, and I thought you had to hear about this individual. Let me share a few bullet points. And then what I do is feature, achievement, benefit, feature, achievement, benefit, and end with a close. The close is, does it make sense for you to sit down and talk to this individual either today, or can you fix them in on Friday? Can you fit them in on your schedule on Friday? And that's the A-player approach, and it works. It works very, very, very well. A vertical market approach is another approach, and that's an approach that's really selling your services. It's almost going to the marketplace and letting you know how special you are and very focused you are in a very specific marketplace. And that may sound like something like this. Hey, Bill, it's Jon Bartos with JSI. How you doing? Have you heard of us? Well, good. So that you know that we focus very specifically with Epic hospitals all over North America. And we help them very specifically putting in the Epic ambulatory module with either full-time contract consultants or permanent placement. We work with companies like Maine Health in Maine, Lee Memorial out of Florida, and Children's of Los Angeles in Los Angeles, California, just to name a few. Okay, by saying that approach, it not only tells, boy, you're very focused on that Epic space and you know what's going on, but also shared some client names with them to let them know that, hey, they're some of our competitors, or those are reputable, world reputable organizations that they work with. And that inside approach works very, very well. Another approach is a combination where you do the vertical marketing approach with your A-player approach. And by putting those two together, hey, Bill, have you heard us before? It's Jon Bartos with JSI. So then we work with Epic hospitals and CIOs all through the United States, help them to very specifically with Epic ambulatory personnel. Matter of fact, then you probably know we work with Maine Health, heard of our work there, or Johns Hopkins, or potentially Cleveland Clinic, just to name a few. Well, the second reason the call was I came across an Epic ambulatory team lead, and I thought of you guys. Let me take a few moments to share a few bullet points with you. And then you feature, achievement, benefit, feature, achievement, benefit. Bill, does it make sense for you guys to sit down and chat either today or tomorrow? Does that make any sense? So by using the combination approach, it works very well, of an A-player approach and a vertical market approach. But if you want to talk easy button, all right, hit the button, you're done. All you need to do is flip a couple things. One is a reference check. In our organization, and when I consult with other organizations and recruiters, specifically if they want to be a big biller, I said, first thing you got in doctrine in every single day that you do is flipping a reference check. Because if you're taking A players to the marketplace in any way, form, or factor, you're going to want to flip that call, all right? And simply, it's easy to flip a reference check. So after you get done doing a great reference check, and don't forget when you're doing reference checks, you're typically talking to somebody's boss or supervisor, so they're in a hiring position. And you spend a good 15 minutes asking them questions like dates of employment and how effective were they doing compared to other people, what was their work ethic like, what's their strengths, what their weaknesses. So really good questions, that you ask. Then at the very end of that, you say something like this to flip a reference check. Joe, we're in the marketplace every day finding A players just like this candidate. Could your organization use A players to help you grow the business? And then you listen. Then you say, Bill, Joe, who would I talk to very specifically to get a relationship with to help you guys find A players like this? And the good news about the reference check is that you have a very high success rate. When you do an A player approach, it could be as low as 1 out of 10 calls, 1 out of 10 connects, but the reference check is typically 1 out of 1 or 1 out of 2 because you've already established credibility as you do the reference check. So if you're not flipping reference checks, boy, start flipping. The second easy button you want to hit right away in marketing. Flip every recruiting call you do and every recruiting candidate. What does that mean? Well, if you take that recruiting call or recruiting candidate you've got and flip it and ask them for business and help with getting that business, you go a long ways to making it easy to get more job orders coming in. That would sound like something like this. Hey, Fred, I'll help you. First of all, great call, and I appreciate getting to know you, getting to know who you are and what you're trying to achieve. And I'll give you my word that I'm going to be here helping you find that right next step in your career, and I'm looking forward to working with you, and I appreciate the time very much. I have one more question, and it's kind of important to me. I know, Fred, you've worked at Network Solutions for the last 5 years and did just very, very well. I've always wanted to work with that organization, Network Solutions, and I know they'll be looking for A players, not only now but down the road. Could you help me a little bit? Not only I will help you for sure find an opportunity to get you out of there, but in return, can you help me get into that organization? Tell me who I need to talk to. Tell me what potential positions are open, and then kind of show me the path, if you will, to get into that organization to work with, because we always need to do business. Can we have an agreement working together like that? Okay, so I just flipped a recruiting call. I just flipped a candidate. So now I have candidates going to work for me, and we have an agreement going forward that I'll help them find whatever opportunity they want to. However, they're going to help me get into that organization. Now, at this point in time, somebody will raise their hand and typically ask me, well, you can't do that, John. You can't take people out of an organization and put people in, which is totally true. And so what I'll do is once I've signed an agreement and actually place somebody with that company, I'll let the candidate know that I can no longer work with anybody working there because I'm off limits until a year after I've done business with them. But you know what? It takes a long time to place somebody sometimes. There may not be any openings, so I can certainly help them. And if I got a job order real quick with the organization and place somebody, I would take that candidate that I've got the relationship with, and I'd send them someplace else. Send them to one of my associates in the marketplace who do something similar that I do to help them find the other opportunity as well. So you can make that so it's a win-win on both situations. So flip your recruiting calls for sure. Now, there's lots of other approaches out there. I would suggest you get the white paper that I wrote on effective business development, but let's talk about a couple ones that you probably should work on. One is exclusivity. And if you're not working on all exclusivity items right now, make a goal of it to by January of 2013 to only work on exclusive stuff. And if you do that, your billings will go through the roof. Life will be easier. You'll grow more hair. You'll get taller, lose weight. Obviously joking on the last couple. But it will reduce your stress level significantly if you can get exclusivity stuff. Well, here's what it sounds like to get exclusivity. So if I'm doing a marketing call and I'm getting a job order, and then all of a sudden the client tells me, Frank says, John, I've already got 2 other recruiters working on this. I haven't seen any candidates yet, but I'd be happy to have you work on this as well. Well, that means how many is working on this? It's 3. I'm number 3. I'm not number 1, number 2. I'm number 3 that's working on this thing. And typically I will go over my candidate, with my client, very specific, the reason for exclusivity, the reason why I need to work on this exclusive and not everybody working on this thing. And here's how that sounds like. Frank, I appreciate the job order, first of all, very, very much so. And typically we will not work on anything that's non-exclusive. And there's a big reason for that, and you need to know that reason. Because if you got recruiters working on stuff and they're not exclusive, that should be a huge red flag for you. Not only about them, but the results you're going to get from that search. Well, let's talk about a non-exclusive approach. Let's say you have 10 recruiters running as fast as they possibly can at the candidates, trying to fill that one position for you. Now, that search went from trying to find the very best players in the marketplace to the quickest and easiest way they possibly can to find candidates, which is probably job board candidates, candidates unemployed, candidates out of their database that are very quickly got. So it turns from a very high quality search to find the best to a race. And each recruiter is running as fast as they can, trying to get the advantage. And if anything smells or looks anything close to what you're looking for, they're going to take that and throw it against the wall. Well, what does that do? Well, that'll do a couple things for you. One is going to get you a lot of candidates. The bad news is they're all bad, and there'll be candidates that are the B and C quality. And unfortunately, when you make a decision based on those type of candidates, you're going to make the best decision you can from the worst players in the marketplace. So let's converse now on the other side. So instead of having 10 recruiters work on this thing, everybody's trying to find them as fast as they can, which means no one's really doing heavy lifting or heavy digging, and they're trying to find things fast, which are the easy stuff, which is unemployed folks, job board candidates, things like that. Let's go over vice versa on the other side. You need an A player here. And if you really want to hire an A player, a top 10% in the marketplace, they're invisible to job boards. They're hunkered down, kicking butt, taking names from one of your competitors right now. They're not looking at job boards. They have no idea you have an opening. Why? Because nobody's directly doing the direct calls, the tough stuff. When you do a surgical search and a search for an A player, you've got to not only find them, know where they are, then you got to reach out to them, and then you got to chat with them and convince them to take a look at a very, very specific company and the reason for that. Now, if they've already been called by 3 recruiters, the candidate's going to say, they're getting awful desperate because you're the 4th recruiter that's called me already on this position. I'm not interested. If you have one recruiter, they can find the top 10% in the marketplace, make those calls, surgically extract them for the organizations, walk them through the hiring process. And that way, instead of making the best decision you can from the worst players in a marketplace, you can then make the best decision possible from the best candidates in the marketplace. Now, it may take you another 2 weeks to get the best players in the marketplace, but you know what Brad Smart and Top Grading says is that an A player will produce 8 to 10 times more in productivity than a B player. Isn't it worth waiting another couple of weeks to find the very best players in a marketplace, Mr. Customer? Mr. Client, does it make sense to give us an exclusive on this search for at least 30 days? Can you call the dogs off for 30 days and let us go forward? So if you explain the exclusivity approach to your clients, they'll understand. And they all want to hire A players. Nobody wants to hire a C player that shows up for work almost all the time. Nobody wants that. So it's very important. Take a look at exclusivity and try to get it down. It's really interesting, too. One more approach I'm going to go over with you is the C-level approach, which is calling to the CIO and CTO and CEO and CFO. Anthony Parinella wrote a book called Selling DeVito, which is a very important top officer. And buy the book if you get a chance. Because in the book, and he wrote it about 10 years ago, his whole philosophy was this. You don't talk to the C-level folks like you do the rank and file managers. Because when you go to the marketplace from a recruiting perspective, you're not going to call the CEO and say, you got a guy, let me share with you his background. That's not going to be it, because you're not interested in that. The C-level is interested in different things. They're interested in what? Well, if I look at it, if I'm a CEO, who's my boss? Well, it's the chairman of the board, you know. And what's the one thing they need me to do? And ladies and gentlemen, your CEO is motivated by shareholder value, an increase in shareholder value. If the shares go up in value, the CEO gets a raise and makes a lot of money. If the shares go down in value, he loses his job. All right, so his whole thing is, how do I increase shareholder value? The second thing is, he's interested in anything that increases shareholder value, all right, which is this: increase profits, increase revenues, decrease in costs in any way you can, and then some kind of sustainable competitive advantage that he's going to have for years and years and years, a patent, a new technology, anything like that. So when you talk to a C-level, you know, it's a completely different conversation. Let me share you with the best C-level approach I ever had that worked 100% of the time. I had placed a candidate by the name of Rick Ball with a company called Standard Register out of Dayton, Ohio. He came in as a director of supply chain, and then a year later I called him back. Rick said, John, I've been promoted. I'm now the vice president of supply chain here. I said, oh my gosh, Rick, congratulations. What did you do? He said, well, John, I saved the company $300 million in the first year. I said, you said 30 or 300? He said 300 million. I said, Rick, you're a magic man. $300 million. The company only did $1 billion. How do you save them $300 million? And Rick gave me about 4 different things on what he did to save Standard Register $300 million. So here's my approach to C-level. I found out what my candidate did. I devised a script, and then I called the CEOs of every competitor of Standard Register. Here was my approach. I'd call up the individual, and most of the time I wouldn't get them. I'd get voicemail, and I'd get their secretary to give me their voicemail at least. But here's my approach. I'd say, hey, Tim, it's Jon Bartos, President, Jonathan Scott International. We haven't got a chance to talk before, but we're the organization that worked closely with Standard Register to help them save $300 million last year. That's right, $300 million. And yes, we're the company that helped them do that. I'm not sure if we can do the same for your organization or not, but I thought it may be worth the conversation. Click. Give me a call, Jon Bartos, 513-701. Out of the 13 CEOs I called in the industry, I got a call back from 12, and we worked with 6 of them. I mean, it was that good. So what did I say when they called back? Hey, Tim, Jon Bartos, thanks for calling back. So you the guys who helped those guys save $300 million. What'd you guys do? So, well, it's interesting. People in business, every problem in business is people-related. We worked very closely with Standard Register and registered that their supply chain was totally out of whack. And unfortunately, it was. I mean, they were bleeding money through all the warehouses, throwing paper away, misordering, all sorts of things. Well, anytime there's a problem in business, people are related. We found a person that took that problem on and solved that problem for those guys who did the same thing from General Motors. Now, let me ask you this, Tim. Where are your critical problems in your business that you could use a $300 million saver at? That's all I'd ask. So I transitioned it from that first call, the enormous insight. But again, I didn't talk about a guy, really. I talked about how we solved the problem for a client, and it was about their hot buttons, increase shareholder value through decreasing expenses and decreasing costs, and increasing profit. And that's the C-level approach. You got to talk about those unique things. Get the book, Anthony Parinella, Selling DeVito, VITO, and you'll love it. So there's lots of business development techniques that are out there that are absolutely working today. And you can be a superstar. Find one that works for you. Role play, get good at it. But the bottom line in marketing is this. You got to make the calls. If you're making one marketing call a day or two, you're not going to get there. You need to make a lot of marketing. My suggestion is this. Set a goal every day to have 5 marketing presentations with either existing people within existing accounts that you don't know, they're existing account you work with, but you're getting additional business from a major account, or you're calling a new client in a new account. Make 5 presentations a day. Do it a specific time every day so you actually get it done. And the better you do, the more you do it, the better you're going to get at this. And the best people in the world at marketing are the folks who do it all the time because they're on top of their game. And they're used to all the objections for marketing objections. Send me your resume. Well, it's interesting, Bill, that you said that. It sounds like there's something about this candidate that you're interested in. You might be asking, what would it be? What tweaked your interest? To be ready for those objections that you're going to get. We don't have any openings. Well, I'm telling you what, Fred, I knew you wouldn't have an opening. But you know what? This candidate is so good, I thought we may work together to make an opening for him. What do you think? Be good at your objections so you know how to address this. You're going to do that by making marketing calls for sure. We talked a little bit about watching your numbers and needing a system. And at the beginning, Mark mentioned my RPM dashboard. If you don't get a chance, jump on the website, www.rpm-usa.com. Go to the library section. Lots of free articles on how to be a $1 million producer. It's the math behind this business. I developed the RPM dashboard very specifically because I wanted big billers to be even bigger billers. I wanted new people to come up to speed immediately, but I wanted them to understand the recruiting and staffing game through a mathematical equation, and it really is it. And what the RPM dashboard is, it's a SaaS-based software product that's very inexpensive for everybody to get on. And what it does is it gives you dashboard views. Not only does it help you set your goals, whatever. If you want to make $1 million this year, it'll tell you how to do that. If you want to make $500,000, whatever, it'll give you a path to get that based on your own ratios right now. So it helps set your goals, calculate your activities you need to do on a weekly basis, gives you a series of dashboard views every week to show you how well you're performing to your goals. It's pinpointing the areas you're doing well and pat you on the back, but then it finds areas that you're not doing as well. And what it does is gives you very specific training every week on getting better at that specific thing you're struggling with. It could be job orders. You're struggling with the quality of your job orders. It could be you're not making enough marketing calls. You're not planning appropriately. It could be your marketing sucks and you need to better at marketing calls. It'll give you that training. It could be better at matching skills. But whatever the issue is in recruiting, the primary activities, it'll give you very specific weekly training to get you to your game. We're seeing 40, 50, 60, 100% increases in revenue almost within 90 days by using the tool. Very inexpensive. Just jump on it, www.rpm-usa.com. You guys can send me an email if you want to, and I'll get you to Connie, who's my data automation expert on this thing. But get on it. The results will blow your mind. But more importantly, it'll give you the information you need to get the training and development you need to achieve whatever lifelong goal you want to in recruiting, which is what it's all about. We're not here just to work harder, are we? We're not here just to talk to people and make all friends. We're here to achieve some lifelong goals and spend time doing the things we really love to do and with the people we love to do. And that's what we're all about here, is getting you to the top of your game so you can go do what you really want to do, need to do, and should be doing right now. So marketing, let me end this up. Marketing is not really that difficult for everybody to do. Probably the number one thing everybody's got to realize is it's important to get great job orders. And if I get you guys great job orders and you get great job orders coming in, your success goes through the roof. If you keep working on the bad stuff or only the stuff that gets called in, you're continually going to struggle. So get good at marketing. Realize it's going to be about quality, first of all. And you're only going to get quality because you're going to have to get quantity, meaning you're going to have to get lots of it. You're going to need a measurement tool. Get the job order matrix. You can get that different ways. RPM Dashboard has it, rpm-usa.com. You get it from jonbartos.com. And then I'll get a copy to Mark, and he can send it to you for free as well. But measure your job orders and understand it. And then find the scripts that are working for you. Get the easy button scripts. Make sure you're doing flipping of a reference check. Flip the recruiting call. Get it simple, because you got to do those every day anyways. Flip those suckers. Get more job orders coming in. And then find a couple of the techniques that are working for you that you like, that you want to experiment with. And get good at selling to C-level, because you're going to get higher level jobs. Your fees are going to go up. And no longer is your fee percentage going to be important at all. Do you guys know that Spencer Stewart, Heidrick & Struggles, averaged 33% of first-year income plus expenses? If they can get it, you can get that too. Call on the right level. Call on the right people and do the right things you need to do. And I'll certainly look forward to you guys achieving your lifelong dreams through recruiting in the next year or so. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Mark, back to you.
Awesome, Jon. Great job, as always. Thank you very much. And so I've got a couple of questions for you, just one or two quick ones. And before we do that, just a reminder, everyone, to go and check out www.jonbartos.com and the other websites you mentioned. Jon has developed just a huge amount of resources and white papers and good stuff that you can check out. That, you know, even if you don't buy anything from him, he provides a huge education for free. You need to check that out. So, Jon, you have outlined what I love about this is that it's all about working smarter, not harder. So obviously you need to work hard in this business, and we're assuming here that people are already working really, really hard, but they may not still be getting the results they want. And so if they can't work harder, then the solution is they need to work smarter. So you mentioned the job order to placement ratio. I think that I agree that's a really important one. What have you, from your observation in your business and also your clients, your other recruiting firm clients, what do you feel is a good, like an above average, average, and poor job order to placement ratio?
Yeah, great. And Mark, that's a great question. What we're seeing now with folks who are working their tail off and not achieving their goals, but they're working hard and they're getting some stuff done, we're seeing anywhere from 10 to 12 to 1. And that's unfortunately, that's probably 80% of the recruiting community. It's just absolutely crazy. Now, folks who are seeing some good stuff is either anywhere from 3 to 5 to 1. Is pretty average and is not doing bad, which means that we're qualifying job orders and working on good work. We don't win them all. You know, internal HR may make some placements, a job order goes away, things like that happen. The good stuff is 1 to 1.5 to 1. Almost every retained firm is between 1.2 and 1.3. The 1 to 1 you really never achieve because always life happens and a job goes away for one reason. You still may get paid on it, but you don't make a placement on it if you're on the retained side of things. But if you can get in that 1 to 2 range, you become a rock star. And let's say let's talk about the day in the life of somebody doing 10 to 1. 10 to 1, 90% of their day is wasted on stuff that's never going to come to fruition. You're at 1.5 to 1. Well, most of your day is spent on stuff that's actually going to do well. So your effectiveness is increased by 8. It's just amazing. And you're absolutely right. I mean, we don't do this business just because we love it. We do this business because we make a great living and we want to spend time on things we want to do, with kids and loved ones and all that stuff.
John, thank you for that. Really, really good information. And my next question, it's not something you cover directly, but I feel sure that you have an opinion about this. And by the way, I loved your selling to C-level approach and how you took the achievement of the candidate you placed, which required you to follow up with all your placed candidates, but a lot of recruiters forget to do. So there's a lesson there as well. So you followed up with your placed candidate. You found out, what he'd achieved during his work there, and you turned that into a really powerful hook to get those C-levels to call you back. I love that. And that is original to you. I've not heard anyone else share that, so thank you. So my question around that is, the feedback I'm getting from my clients, John, who are in the recruiting business, is that their biggest competitor these days, especially if you're dealing with, larger organizations, is internal recruiting. And, they seem to be more and more gaining a stranglehold on all the placement activity, even for, senior positions and, business critical positions. They may not necessarily be able to find those candidates, and they may even, recognize, we need some outside help for this role, but they still want to be involved and are sometimes sabotaging the process. Do you have what's your strategy for dealing with IR?
Yeah, the internal recruiters are if we got to realize the trend, they're going to continue to increase. And the reason being is because as the marketplace and really the dichotomy, because the great players out there are still few and far between. And you're going to lots of average folks. And let's talk about the truth about the internal recruiters. A lot of them are recruiters just like we were and decided to take a salary and not so much leveraged income, so they went internally. So some of them are really, really good. But here's what is not happening out there. Nobody has so many recruiters that they're only working on 1 or 2 jobs. Every internal recruiter I know is working on 50 jobs or 70 jobs or something so ridiculous that they're never going to fill them all. Yes, and they're placing job board ads and all those things. So here's my strategy for that. I work with internal recruiters when I have them. And first of all, we have an agreement that I can talk to the hiring manager directly, and I'll keep them involved. They can be on the call with me, or I'm going to communicate with them on email that a conversation happened. But I will stop working with the company if I stop access to my hiring manager. So number one, I have access to hiring manager always. Second thing I say to the internal recruiter is this. How many positions do you have on your plate right now? 35. Wow. How can you fill 35 jobs? Well, I have to go to the squeaky wheel. And then I have an agreement with the internal recruiter, and I say this. I will make you look phenomenal. All right. My goal is to make you look so good it's ridiculous. But you can't fill 35 jobs. What's going to happen is you're going to work on 10 jobs, get 10 of them filled, but then the other 25 jobs haven't been filled, and you got a hiring manager screaming at you. Let's work together. I'll work on some of your highest priority jobs. You work on some high priority jobs. But if you give these to me, I will guarantee I'll give you the communication that you need. I'll give you the top players so you look good, but it'll still allow you to place most of your positions with you, and just give me the ones that are critical for us to work on. Can we go forward working like that? And by having that agreement, Mark, number one, they love you because you're helping them look good in front of their internal client. But number two is you're now an ally. All right, you're working together as a team to get these things done and achieving her goal, which is she doesn't want any hiring managers yelling at her because she doesn't have any people coming in. So set a priority on which ones she's going to fill, which ones you can fill, and work well together. But I think, Mark, you're right. That's going to be continually be a thing going forward where it's going to be increased based on how tough the talent's going to be to find.
Well, John, what you're great at, or one of the things you're great at, is selling differently to different people depending on what their goals and problems and needs are. So you've just illustrated that again with the internal recruiting thing. You did it with the CEO thing. So that's a sort of, I don't know if that was on your agenda to cover today, but you've role modeled that for us. So I thank you for that. So John, we're out of
You bet.
time today, and it's been an absolute pleasure. And I want to thank you for your time and